In this video, we're gonna teach you guys how to hit some whoops. What's up guys, Tyler Livesey here with MX Factory at Austin Del Valley Motocross Park. Today, we're gonna learn how to hit some whoops in 4 sort of easy steps. The first step is gonna be knowing your whoop. You've gotta know what you're up against, you gotta know the distance between, you gotta know the steepness of the whoop. We're gonna get to that. The second is gonna be line choice. What side of the track are you going? Are we going through the middle, the side? The third is gonna be body mechanics, maybe the most important. The fourth step of this sequence is going to be, I don't remember.
Oh, I was like doing so good.
The fourth step of this sequence is gonna be throttle delivery. Just how much speed are we taking in and how much speed are we taking out and what's the safest way to do it. Hey guys, there's a pro tip at the end, so stick around. I got an idea. How would you like this video? Tell your mom to like it, tell your cousin to like it, tell your sister to like it, all of them to like it. And while you're at it, make sure they subscribe. If they don't have an account, make one for them. Thank you! You mind turning that down over there? Check out our Instagram. We're dropping 3 to 4 clips a week. And also check out our Patreon account. It's supporting us, support you, because we're broke.
Okay, I like that.
Step number 1 is gonna be knowing your whoop. How far apart your whoops are, what they're designed to do, like what approach you take to get through the whoops is gonna be completely different based off the length of the whoop, the height of the whoop. Obviously you see a guy at Millville doing like the rowing motion and getting the front end up, and then in Supercross they're right across the top. Most of the time at your local motocross track, you're not gonna see Supercross whoop, so to speak, but you may have something like this, which is a little closer together, a little more rolled out that you can jump, skim, or pull the front wheel up at certain speeds. So it's really just being able to pick apart what you have in front of you and knowing what technique to apply. Step number 2 is gonna be line choice. The biggest thing you gotta know here is that there's no perfect line that I can tell you guys is gonna work every time. So what happens during the day when you're riding and practicing or racing, whoops are gonna break down. So your main line, what you see right here, is gonna be starting inside and then connecting down to the other inside to straighten that line out. It's gonna get super chewed up, okay? Once it gets chewed up, it's gonna be a little easier to make mistakes or crash or fall or whatever it is, get out of line, lose speed. So you might wanna move over one way or another. The biggest thing that you gotta think about is how can I maintain speed through the end of the whoops or gain speed through the end of the whoops, because that's what's gonna keep your bike straight and that's what's gonna keep the speed coming out of the whoops into the next section. So make sure that you're paying attention to how the track's developing, how it's breaking down, and move around accordingly. What are they doing over there? Turn your blinker off. Your blinker's blinking. Make sure that you're finding a line through the whoops, no matter what way it is, that you can maintain like a straight line coming through. Okay, one of the most common mistakes that happen is people get a little off kilter and they know they have to move to the other part of the track to get back towards the middle of the track or the main line, and then they start to have the swapping action. So if you choose a line, know that whatever line you choose is a straight shot to the end, and whatever that is gonna put you out on that side of the straightaway. So for instance, how we have here, if you started on the inside and you make a straight line, you're gonna end up on the inside down there. If you start on the outside over here, which is coming out of an outside turn, which you're gonna carry a little more momentum, just know that it's gonna point you towards the outside of this straightaway if you're going in a straight line. So you've gotta make sure that you're thinking ahead enough to know where you're landing, so to speak, when you're coming out of the whoops based off of where you're coming into the whoops. So we're on to step number 3, body mechanics. Knowing where to put your body while we're riding through the whoops. So we're gonna start from the ground up as we always do. The most important thing in this is your point of contact at the lowest point of the bike, right? The center of gravity, your lowest point of center of gravity. And that's gonna be at your feet. You wanna be riding on the balls of your feet. You want your heels soft. That doesn't mean you want your heels dropped way down, bent real bad, but you don't want to point them forward, okay? So you wanna soften in the heels, that way the first point of contact has a little suspension to it. Your second point of contact is gonna be at your knees. Your knees should be tracking over the foot pegs, okay? And they should be squeezing the bike as tight as you can maintain through the whole set of the whoops. As we move up from there, we're gonna stack our hips right over our heels, okay? A little different than when we're jumping and we're powering through the face. We're trying to maintain a neutral weight from front to back so the bike is working together in this scenario of whoops, okay? It's a little further back in rollers, but here we're trying to maintain a balanced bike. A big thing that I notice with a lot of people is in their hips, they lock their hips underneath their upper body rather than shifting their hips back. And what that does is separates your lower body from your upper body and also allows you to engage your core. So me standing in this position like this, unlocked from my upper body, allows me to engage back in the front in my core and hold my upper body up there rather than here. It makes me feel like I want to fall into my arms. So think about as if you were doing a deadlift, what the perfect position would be hips unlocked, back straight, and that's going to be your strongest muscular position. From there, head drops down, okay? Shoulders are gonna be just in front of your knees, so you're leading with power and you're pushing forward through the whoops. Lower body is balancing the bike, upper body is moving with the power. And you wanna be soft in your arms, soft in your hands, have a grip that the bike can't jerk away from you, but you want the bike to be able to move up and down to your chest without you feeling like you're having to force it one way or the other. It should feel pretty free underneath. Your stabilizer's in your core, in your hips, legs, and your feet. And lastly, in our body mechanics, we moved up to the top of our body. It's gonna be your vision, where your head's at. Your head's down low in the front of the bike. You must take the helmet from here and look up and out so you know what you got coming up against you, right? You need to be able to anticipate what's coming up. If you have a big hole in the whoops or the whoops are ending and you can get back on the gas harder, you need to know. And a nice rule of thumb that I like to use, and it's hard to kind of manage when you don't have a speedometer, but you can kind of feel every 10 miles per hour that you're going faster needs to be another 10 feet out. So if it's a slow set of whoops, you can look 15 feet in front of you and maintain that because you have time to process the information and make the decisions. If you're going really fast, you need to look further down so you have time to adjust the body accordingly and make the right decisions. Step number 4, we're gonna talk about throttle delivery and also speed delivery. I feel like this is kind of the same thing. The big thing here is that you wanna make sure that the exit of your whoops, we'll call it the last 5 whoops, you're able to maintain the bike in the meat of the power and also maintain the speed you're going, if not accelerate out. Like in Supercross whoops, for instance, you'll see the guy shift up 2 gears in the air off the triple before. Right? They're going from likely 2nd gear to 4th gear on a 450. The reason for that is they're taking those whoops at a speed where they could potentially tap out of that gear halfway through and the bike starts to unload. Remember, the bike suspension works the best when the RPMs are lower. The suspension works more free. Okay, so you want to think about how am I giving the bike gas, what gear am I in, and what kind of speed is enabling me to keep the bike in that good meat of the power and the suspension to flow nicely. Another thing that really helps with that is being able to manage your throttle and give gas, so to speak, at the right time. And you'll notice when I'm riding through here that I'm managing how my bike's staying on top of these whoops with how much gas I'm hitting every time I hit the whoop. Bop, bop, bop. And if it's dropping down in, I may let off a little bit to let it get back on top of the next one and then get back on the gas. Bop, bop, bop. So you're gonna have that issue where the front end drops down in whoops like these because they're uneven, one's higher than the next. So you kind of have to feel the bike and feel the throttle in order to get back on top and continue to skim out of the whoops. Don't come into a set of whoops and think that you just need to hold the gas wide open all the way through, because that isn't the answer. There may be a sand whoop section where that works, a roller where they're a little further apart and you don't have to manage being on top of them or manage dropping in between them, where that works. But in a set of whoops like this, is what you're probably gonna come up against more often than not, you definitely have to manage the throttle by coming on and off and timing your whoops correctly. All right guys, your pro tip, thanks for sticking around to the end. We're gonna show you something that may help you make a pass or use the inside of the track, cut off some track and still maintain some momentum through the whoops. If it were me, I would take the inside of this track and come into the whoops right here rather than going way around the outside and losing a bunch of track. How I would get my speed up in the middle of these whoops is I would use this first roller here, and you can see how on the practice day they were doing, there's a rut coming in right here. I would use this first roller and kind of soak this up, right? And then try to get my back wheel to stay on the ground coming down this first one so I could pick up speed off of this little downslope. So you come in, you soak this up, you pick up speed, and then you start maneuvering your way through the whoops. Okay, so you use that first one, especially if it's a little more rolled out, as a momentum gainer, right? You come out of the turn, inside turn, kind of soak this one up, and then really get on the gas, rather than getting on the gas real hard here and slamming into that first one and losing all your momentum. Remember, we're trying to gain speed, especially if we're coming from the inside, throughout the whole set of whoops to maintain a straight bike in a stable position. All right guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We hope you stay safe and straight down your next set of whoops at your local track. If you like this video, we got more over here. Make sure to check out our Instagram and Patreon and subscribe somewhere down in this area. Thank you guys, we love you. Separate from our upper body, we can engage our core so we can stabilize through our midsection and our legs